Okay, I believe we are live, Dan. You want to give the greeting?
Yeah, I guess I'll say good evening, gang. Good to see you again. Happy Sunday. It is March 1st,
Unbelievable.
8:30, almost 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. And yeah, what a weekend it's been. There's been some peace and relaxation, but a whole bunch of other stuff going on.
Not for the
Everybody's probably
Iranians.
aware of. Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
no peace
no,
and relaxation for the Middle East.
that's absolutely not so. Um, I don't even know what to say about that. Um, I'm not very happy about it. I mean, is do I agree with their government and how they roll and the fact that they killed 16,000 of their own people a month ago? Of course I don't.
Well,
But
how
at
do
the
we know
same
any of this
time,
is true?
well, those are the reports. Those are some, what the news has reported. To your
So now,
point, who knows?
anytime a country decides to crack down on their people, if it is true, we're going to get involved militarily. We know that's not the
That
reason why. I mean,
and
who are
that's
we
what
kidding?
Yeah, no, dude, it's a typical what we've been doing for 75 years. It's a regime change, right? We wanted the regime changed for various reasons, and like we always do. And now supposedly they got this what Democratic guy in there now wearing a suit or
I
something.
I have not followed it at all,
I'm
and
not following it that closely
no,
either.
I'm
Just
not
a
aware
couple
of.
of snippets
Yeah,
I've seen.
yeah. I'll get a report tonight from Maverick on the of Wall Street, I think. But
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, the markets are going to be interesting tomorrow, right? Don't you think? I mean,
well, what
if not
you
already
see,
tonight, what's
well, you
happening in
see,
the East, the ripple.
well,
Yeah.
they talk about the news because the news was reporting a couple weeks ago that China and Russia had given Iran advanced missile capability for defense. Well, it doesn't look like.
Supersonics. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't, I didn't read the articles on I don't think they knew what they were giving. My point is it doesn't appear that any of those stories are true. So they were setting the Chinese and the Russians up to be bad guys with the Iranians just because, hey, who's going to question it? Of course, the Chinese, the Russians, the Iranians are bad guys. You know, lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. Lions and tigers and bears. Oh my.
Well, the
You remember
interesting
where
thing
that's
is
from?
that if it, I surely do. The interesting thing is if this does continue to progress, as the great book forecasted, the armies from the north
From the
coming
north.
from a compilation of the east and the west will descend upon you know who, a 200 million man army. Now, if you take those three countries, formerly Persia, now known as Iran, and you take China and you take Russia, those three countries altogether could probably field a 200 million man army.
Yeah, and don't
Still a
forget the
lot of troops.
North Koreans have a huge army. Turks have a huge army.
Well, and to you know what, to your point, I
India,
think it would be a compilation of at least 3 to 5 of those countries. Definitely Iran, which it forecasts. Russia, it talks about the bear, and the
the
Chinese. Yeah,
eagle. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, think about this. Let's say Israel does end up using a nuke, and we know the United Nations won't do anything because the United States will veto anything, and so the rest of the world decides, okay, we're going to do it on our own. Now you're really starting to get into some take the gloves off moments.
Well, my understanding is before the United States went in, or just as they hit Iran, Europe and NATO's totally stepped away. Like we don't have. My understanding is we're totally alone in this event. We, other than I guess Israel, we have no typical ally support that we normally have. Um, whether it be with the Canadians, the Brits, the French, the Germans, they've all stepped away. They don't want any part of this. And they've said that before we struck, or just about. They're like, look, we want nothing to do with this. We're stepping away. And Trump is a fat mouth because, you know, he just did that speech, what, 2 weeks ago, a month ago at the, what was the speech he did? The international speech in the IMF or whatever the hell it was. And he sat there up on the podium belittling Europe, saying that they were completely useless in Afghanistan and Iraq, contributed zero, did nothing. He even said our friends to the north, Canada, did nothing. You know, it's like you're going around spitting and punching people in the face. No, we had support guys, particularly with the Canadians were in there bleeding too. And he makes these comments that piss people off. And all the veterans that served in those theaters know otherwise. But fucking blowhard fat mouth has to make these comments to alienate us from the whole world.
Well, I really get a chuckle out of people posting Trump's old tweets. This is the nice thing about Twitter is people have memories, and so they're posting his tweets showing him chastising Obama about using Iran, an attack on Iran, to hide the fact that he's such an incompetent president. And so Trump's doing the same thing in one way.
Yeah. It seems to ring true. Like our one of the big guys we listen to and admire greatly, Gerald Celente, to use his phrase, you know, when all else fails, they take you to war. I mean, look, this thing is already setting up the complex and the big military contractors for the next 10 or 20 years. They're sitting there friggin' licking their chops, as is Wall Street. They're sitting there already calculating the dollar signs. But guess who's going to pay for it? Okay?
Yeah.
The rank and file and the typical U.S. citizen. That's who's going to pay for it. The wealthy aren't going to pay for it. Okay? The contractors are going to make billions hand over fist. Our business is war. Okay? And the American people need to wake the frig up, pull their head out of their ass. Our business is war. That's our business.
Dan, they approve of that. Don't
this
you get
is by
that yet?
design.
They approve. The American people approve this.
Yeah. You've got the whatchamacallit, the USS, is it the Reagan or something, sitting in the Med now, like a big friggin' dock? That's going to sit there for who knows how long and how many I mean, do you know what it costs to run a friggin' carrier group? I can't even imagine what that costs.
Well,
like per hour.
Well, that's why Trump was under pressure to strike now, because that's one thing they approached him with is we can't leave these guys here indefinitely. So they told him, you've got to make a decision. Either we hit them or we got to leave.
Can you imagine the accounting, if you will, the proverbial anyway, accounting and finance support in the background, like in a transactional basis, you know, tracking these expenses, if you will? I'm being facetious, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
I mean, talk about a full-time job. Talk about a full-time job, right? No, what we do is, you know, we send in C-130s full of US dollar bills like we did in the past, Afghanistan. And then when the plane was emptied out, or we were sending that shit over, likewise, on crates, pallets, you know, the money stacked up, sending it to Afghanistan. And the accounting office, do you remember that scandal there? The friggin' U.S. accounting office couldn't account for the money. Where's the money?
Well, that was the one office that just happened to get destroyed by the plane at the Pentagon on 9/11.
We're the biggest assholes on the planet. I mean, what country sends in a C-130 loaded to the gill with pallets of God knows how many billions of dollars, and they can't account for most of it? I mean, that's what we do. We wonder why we have problems and a deficit at 38 trillion. And oh, by the way, guys, the 38 trillion doesn't even count unfunded liabilities, which is another 200 trillion. So we're at like 250 trillion in counting that can never be paid off. Who's going to pay that off? The next 17 generations?
Thomas Massey Thomas Massey tried to get Congress because Congress was so intent in giving trillions away to Ukraine. Massey was like, we've got to have accountability for this. and they voted to basically shut him up. Basically, no, we're not going to have any accountability on this money. So is it any surprise that all that money that went to Ukraine ended up in somebody else's hands?
No, not at all. I mean, Zelensky, I mean, he's so friggin' loaded from this. It's not even funny. He and his
Not
wife
just
are
him.
shopping in friggin' Paris and stuff, buying Gucci underwear at $1,000 a pop. And meanwhile, you got the average slob on the front lines with his intestines bleeding out. I
Yeah.
mean, what a joke. What a joke.
It
And,
doesn't
and the
matter.
average American is an effing idiot. I'm sorry for the language, but that's how pissed off I am. As long as they got their latte and their Starbucks, driving the Beamer and watching, college football on the weekends or pro football with their big flat screen.
Yeah.
That's it. We know
It's
more about sports than what we're paying for in the world.
Well, it's not
What's
going to
going
end
on?
well. Yeah, it's not going to end well.
No, we're as ignorant as it gets.
I don't have anything positive to say about these recent events. I did see some people online who were saying, "Wow, if Trump can go into Venezuela and take out the bad guys in overnight, and then go to Iran, take out the bad guys overnight, I guess I'm all for what he's doing." And that's how these people who watch, that's how most people in the United States think. I'll guarantee it.
I'm just so fed up with the ignorance, and I'm not saying I'm Mr. Wonderful and know everything, but at least I try to have an effing clue of what's going on, and it's just so ridiculous. I'm in the gym yesterday riding the bike and looking at the TV screens. We're literally bombing Iran, of course, like nobody knows. Everybody's going about their business, comatose. And 10 flat screens in front of me riding the bikes, and everything on the flat screen is bread and circus. Everything. Just sports games, all sports games, college, pros, you name it. Which is fine. I like sports. I grew up playing. We're New Englanders. We grew up playing sports, but you know what I'm saying, right? It's just, the glazed effect, staring at the screen, watching some 20-year
Yeah,
old bounce a ball. But
it's been
meanwhile,
yeah,
you
it's
know,
been
we're,
so
we're
many years. Yeah, it's been so many years since that was me.
Yeah,
I,
myself included. I mean, we
yeah,
got bigger fish to fry. We got massive problems, systemic, you name it, societal problems, family breakdowns, high divorce rate, moral and ethical decay, and we're worried about March Madness. It's like, wake the frig up, pull your head out of your ass. And the average American now, what is it? 50% of the population's obese because we wolf down garbage and eat processed food, right?
bread and circuses, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, and geez, Dan, calm down. What are you getting upset about? Well, how can't you get upset? If you got a 60 IQ or higher, how can you not get irritated about this all? And then I get to struggle, paying my taxes every year for this bullshit.
Well, it's why more and more people from the United States are leaving the country, Dan.
I know. I'm noticing that. And not that I defend the a California actor libtards, but what's his face, George Clooney, who's a libtard geek, but he's moving to France. I don't blame the guy
Well, I
in
thought
this
he had a
case.
nice house in Italy, right on Lake Como there.
Yeah, but he's what I'm hearing is he's leaving the U.S. altogether, and you, you know, um,
Well, this is the only thing I'll say about this. Why do these people have to say anything? You just go. You just go.
well, yeah, whatever. I mean, I didn't
I
think
mean, does
that,
it really matter? I mean, he can just, if he's still making movies, I don't know if he's retired or if he's still. I haven't heard
yeah,
about
I
him.
mean,
I
does
haven't
he
heard
need to
about him
work?
in.
Yeah,
Well, well, he might
yeah,
want to, but I mean,
he might want to.
the bottom line is he can just go do his movies. He doesn't have to say, "I'm not going to be in the U.S. anymore."
Yeah. No, my point is anybody with half a brain and that has the financial means, you and I said this 5 years ago, actually, probably 100 times on various videos. Anybody with half a brain and the financial means is going to leave, and you're seeing it.
Well, Ayn Rand is the one who wrote about it in Atlas Shrugged. She predicted what was going to be happening. Is anybody with the means will leave, because what happens is it's going to get to the point where where's the money going to come from? To Are they just going to just keep printing it out of the air until it collapses?
Yeah. See, that's another point that with
Because
all
even
these
even if they taxed us 100%, it wouldn't be enough.
we're destroying the currency at a rate that you can't keep up with. That the average bear is struggling every day just for the basic necessities to pay their rent, to buy food, and yet we're engaging in another effing war. We just got out of Afghanistan and in Iraq, not too long ago, 2 decades, 2 effing decades, and and we just never take a break. We're in constant perpetual warfare. You and I were born in 66 and 67 respectively. Since we were born, this country has been in some sort of strife and warfare, basically perpetually since we've been alive for 6 decades. Right? I mean, Vietnam War, right? uh one conflict after another. Iran Contra, Panama, Grenada, the barracks getting blown up in Lebanon in '83, the 241 Marines. I remember like yesterday.
Do
And
you see
then
that?
Desert Storm, etc. It just doesn't end. It doesn't
Yep.
end.
Do you see that?
I do, the peso. Yeah.
Yep. Look, it was 1 year ago. It was at 21. Right now, it's at 17. So what's that in depreciation in 1 year? Right? Talking
20%.
20%.
Yeah.
Right?
They stuck up my head. Yeah, whatever. 4 and
Okay.
21 roughly.
If we want to look at it against the euro,
The Euro trash.
yep. Okay. The euro in just the last month. So it's, and if we go to the Swiss franc, a lot of people are buying Swiss francs over the last couple months because of
I heard that. Yep.
they're worried about, and I
The
don't see
dollar,
it
yeah,
on.
and the value of it. Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. Actually, FX. I'm going to discontinue this. But if you had diversified your dollars into other currencies, you protected your purchasing power. Okay.
Yeah.
And also you could have done that with gold and silver, right? And that's what I tell people is you take a piece of gold or a piece of silver, and that can convert to any currency. So
That's a good point. That's true.
but last year when it was at like 21, I was converting thousands of dollars into pesos because I knew that was at a point where it was going to be more economical for me than, like, right now. If I have to convert dollars, I'm getting 20% less.
Mm-hmm.
And all of this comes back to the US in the form of inflation. So it means our cost of goods, they just had the inflation report. It's going higher. Surprise. When Trump said, I don't, it's like Trump says so many stupid things that people just believe. It's like we have, Chauncey Gardner. You remember Chauncey Gardner? From
I know the name. I don't know the story really. Yeah.
from the book Being There. It's this guy who was like a retarded guy. He was the gardener, and because he only talked about plants, he used like stories about plants, and people thought he was like a genius. And they'd be like, look at how he's talking about the economy. It grows like a plant. That they elected this guy president. And it's, I don't even know why I brought him up. It was going to transition into another story, but it's I there's nothing else to say, Dan. There's nothing else to say. There is no coming back from this. There is only one solution, and it's a world war. That's the only way the U.S. can keep this going, is to keep fighting. That's the only way.
I don't want to go there. I mean, yeah, I don't want to go there. I don't even want to go there because that's the last thing, obviously, I want to see. But I'm not naive.
As long as people aren't going to bring these things up. I mean, if we're going to start going around bombing everybody else, then don't be surprised when they come around and start bombing us.
Yeah, I know. That's the problem. It's called precedent setting. And apparently we don't understand that from a policy standpoint, from a leadership standpoint. We don't get it. You know, when you're the leader, you're supposed to act a certain way. Okay. And you have to be extra cautious and extra perceptive, in my view, before you even act. Like, what are the consequences? What are the ramifications? What is the perception that we're projecting? You have to take that into account because, you know, if you come across like live by the sword, you're going to die by the sword eventually.
Well, Trump,
history has shown us that.
Trump is either a liar or he's an ignorant fool. Okay.
I would add a third category. He's an egomaniac. He's an egomaniac. He's a classic, and I've studied it a little bit actually, because I grew up that way. He's a classic narcissist. He's a narcissist. No, he is classic.
Yeah.
I grew up with the narcissist mother, so I know what it can do to you. He is a narcissist. He can do no wrong. He's got the answer for everything. And that's the kind of guy he is. Won't back off, never stop, never back off. You know, is he a smart guy? Is he right a lot of times? Of course he is. Much smarter than the average bear. But there's a flip side to that, which is, you know, where pride and ego overly pervade. And that's the case with him, in my opinion. And that's not good for leadership, to be overly prideful and egocentric and narcissistic. That leads to destruction.
Well, I suspect he thinks that's how he gets things done, by being that way.
Well, if he was a true believer like he says he is, and he subscribes and heeds anything from the Bible talks about that in Proverbs, actually.
He converted to Judaism. I told you that. He's not a believer in Christianity. He's a Jew.
Then there you go. Well, he needs to open up the book of Proverbs and, you know, over pride. What's the word? I can't quote it verbatim, but you can look it up. You know, overly prideful leads to basically destruction.
Speaking of the Bible, you want to get into Leviticus?
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, we'll read a paragraph or two.
Well, more than a paragraph, like a book. Okay, let me go.
I mean, the part that I really wanted to read in Leviticus, I mean, we can read the whole book, but the main part I wanted to read was about the ethical and moral decay, is what it talks about.
Which chapter was that?
Those are chapters, I believe, 10 through 17 is where it starts, I believe.
All right, we'll go right to 10 then. Can you see Leviticus on your screen?
Yes, but I'm looking something up real quick. So we started reading from the beginning, which is broken into sacrifices and rituals. But I, you know, and we can continue to do that, but I didn't want to get into that gritty detail yet. The parts that I wanted to really talk about was
just tell me where.
The central of high priest, sanctuary, the holiness, aspects of life, marriage, festivals, land management, blessings of obedience, curses. Yeah, so if you look at chapters 17 through 27, That's the holiness code. But if you look at chapters 11 through 15, sorry, this talks about regulations regarding clean and unclean foods, skin, diseases, childbirth, bodily discharges to manage impurity. It's probably the holiness code is probably what we want to read,
So what chapter, Dan?
starting at 17. Yeah.
Eating blood forbidden.
Yeah.
I don't think this is it. Unlawful
Yeah, here we
sexual
go.
relations.
Yeah, maybe right there. Yeah. Start picking up with 18, maybe.
Okay.
It gets very detailed.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
I'll read 18 and you can read 19. How's that?
Go ahead.
Okay. Can you see this?
Yeah.
Okay. This is the book of Leviticus, Old Testament, chapter 18. Unlawful sexual relations. The Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the Israelites and say to them, I am the Lord your God. You must not do as they do in Egypt, where you used to live, and you must not do as they do in the land of Canaan, where I am bringing you. Do not follow their practices. You must obey my laws and be careful to follow my decrees. I am the Lord your God. Keep my decrees and laws, for the person who obeys them will live by them. I am the Lord. No one is to approach any close relative to have sexual relations. I am the Lord. Do not dishonor your father by having sexual relations with your mother. She is your mother. Do not have relations with her. Do not have sexual relations with your father's wife. That would dishonor your father. Do not have sexual relations with your sister, either your father's daughter or your mother's daughter, whether she was born in the same home or elsewhere. Do not have sexual relations with your son's daughter or your daughter's daughter.
It
That
gets
would
very detailed.
dishonor
Yeah.
you. Do not have sexual relations with the daughter of your father's wife born to your father. She is your sister. Do not have sexual relations with your father's sister. She is your father's close relative. Do not have sexual relations with your mother's sister because she is your mother's close relative. Do not dishonor your father's brother by approaching his wife to have sexual relations. She is your aunt. Do not have sexual relations with your daughter in law. She is your son's wife. Do not have relations with her. Do not have sexual relations with your brother's wife. That would dishonor your brother. Do not have sexual relations with both a woman and her daughter. Do not have sexual relations with either her son's daughter or her daughter's daughter. They are her close relatives. That is wickedness. Do not take your wife's sister as a rival wife and have sexual relations with her while your wife is living. Do not approach a woman to have sexual relations during the uncleanness of her monthly period. Do not have sexual relations with your neighbor's wife and defile yourself with her. Do not give any of your children to be sacrificed to Molech, for you must not profane the name of your God. I am the Lord. Do not have sexual relations with a man as one does with a woman. That is detestable. Do not have sexual relations with an animal and defile yourself with it. A woman must not present herself to an animal to have sexual relations with it. That is a perversion. Yes, it is. Do not defile yourself in any of these ways, because this is how the nations that I am going to drive out before you became defiled. Even the land was defiled, so I punished it for its sin, and the land vomited out its inhabitants. But you must keep my decrees and my laws. The native born and the foreigners residing among you must not do any of these detestable things. There you go. For all these things were done by the people who lived in the land before you, and the land became defiled. And if you defile the land, it will vomit you out as it vomited out the nations that were before you. Everyone who does any of these detestable things, such persons must be cut off from their people. Keep my requirements and do not follow any of the detestable customs that were practiced before you came, and do not defile yourself with them. I am the Lord your God.
Heavy. That is as straightforward as it gets. Do you agree? Very
It's
straightforward.
it's well, it's just amazing. It's amazing that people have to be told not to do these things. But I have been in countries where they still do these things.
100%
And
to this day.
in fact, isn't that Ilian Oman or whatever, that congresswoman from Minnesota? Isn't she supposedly married to
Somalia.
her brother?
Yeah. Yep.
And so that section where it says, "Do not let foreigners bring this to your country." Well, there we go. We're
Sound
letting them bring.
familiar? Keep going. Great point. This is why I wanted to read Leviticus, because it's applicable to what's happening today. We're seeing it, at least pieces of this in our country, happen in real time. You nailed it, bro, with the Somalian Congress lady who doesn't give one iota crap about the U.S. Now, how she
Well,
became a congressperson is beyond me.
well, you know how
She
she
says
became a
point blank.
congressperson, because everybody there in her district is Somali.
I mean, we allow these invaders basically to come from other countries, conjugate, coagulate, whatever the right word is, concentrate in an area, and it's in Michigan, same thing with Sharia law. I mean, we're slowly losing the US, not only to these practices, but even, politically and stuff and law wise, right?
I don't know.
And
I
we're just
think
like,
it's
yeah, down on McGillicuddy Ave.
well. I guess the question I would ask is I know this is off topic on Leviticus, but what actually can we point to in the United States today and be proud of and say we're actually doing the right thing here? What's going in
That's
the
a
right
great question.
direction in what's going in the right direction in our country?
It's a great question. Uh, I don't know, maybe Kennedy trying to do what he's doing with the healthcare and the food system. I mean, I think he's making yeoman efforts. I think he's trying to do the right thing in terms
It's
of
not going to.
bringing
Yeah,
food back.
the big companies don't run everything, man. Whether
No, I
it's
know that, but at least he's taking a swing at it. I mean, is he going to be successful? I don't think so. I mean, you're fighting billions and billions of dollars of lobbying and massive companies like Monsanto, et cetera, that control it all, to
well,
your
yeah, look
point.
at Trump. Trump's trying to pass some
Mm.
executive order to protect Monsanto and make what they do like national interest so that they can't face any punishment for
Oh,
their
I didn't know
crimes.
that. Oh, that's nice. Yeah. So
Yeah,
that'll give them more carte blanche to continue to, what's the word,
poison.
infiltrate the food system in an unnatural manner.
Yeah,
I
Thomas
mean,
Massey's trying to fight him. I mean, anybody who is siding with Trump over Massey, you have your head up your ass. Truly.
yeah, yeah. I mean, Massey's a patriot, but he's the problem is guys like him are so outgunned. They're outgunned 10,000 to 1.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people are in Congress? 550, 600 people? How many guys are in Congress that are like him?
Well,
Five,
yeah.
maybe? You can count on one hand. Massey, Rand Paul, who else?
Rand Paul's in the
Uh,
Senate.
oh, okay, there you go. There's a Texas guy, I forget his name, with a goatee, kind of bald. He's a
I don't
representative
want
or
to start
something.
naming names because I don't know them all very well. I can tell you none of them are from the Northeast.
Oh, 100%. Where we're from, it's a joke. It's a joke. It's anything goes where we're from. In California, the same thing. It's a joke. Like
Yeah.
there's no common sense whatsoever. Is it any wonder guys like us don't live there anymore? Geez, I wonder why. Because we were outnumbered 100,000 to 1.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I left Massachusetts when, I mean, I was like, this
Yeah,
state's, it,
20 years ago. Yeah.
it's the same reason I left the
And
Massachusetts is the
and
same
I left
reason I left,
over
same
20
reason
years
I
ago.
left the United States is
Yeah.
because it's not going to be fixed. Nobody wants it to be fixed. Nobody wants it to be fixed, Dan. And when I say nobody, it's the same thing I said in a video yesterday. 80-20. 80% of the people don't want it fixed. It's not going to change. It's not going to change.
Well, I would say it's a combination of some don't want it for sure, especially the ones that are benefiting the most, the wealthy, elite, whatever. But the average bear, um, and this is by design, the the American public at large, in my humble opinion, has been culled and lulled and given just enough comfort to be placid, right?
Well,
Just enough
the
comfort.
rich. Well, I mean, let's face it, Dan. In your
Rich are not
neighborhood,
dumb.
I mean, I wouldn't call your neighborhood a rich neighborhood, would you?
No, hell no.
I'll bet you there's a lot of struggling people in your neighborhood. You just don't know it.
No argument.
And um,
No argument.
yeah, I think that I think more people are, and it's not just financially. I mean, morally. I mean, look at what we're allowing our government to do.
Yeah, that's why we just read
I
Leviticus,
mean,
and
we
this
vote
talk is far more
we
in there.
voted. I mean, the tweets that Trump saying that him and the guy who's the vice president, they're going to be the peace candidates. And look at them. I sent you a tweet that showed all the countries that Trump has bombed,
I saw
and
it. I looked at it
and
closely.
it's
He
like Trump is like number one.
he's in on all 10. I counted it. All 10 of those countries that were listed out, he played a part in all 10. He's 10 for 10. The second most behind him was Barack with 5, I believe, and then Biden with 4 or 5. I mean,
Yeah,
Trump's
and he
double
also
everybody else.
yeah, and he also pushed the jabs. So Trump is truly an enemy of the people of the United
Um,
States.
Well, I didn't vote for more continuous war, right? Like if he was saying on his platform, yeah, we're going to invade these guys and we're going to hit these guys and I'm going to pop these guys, I probably wouldn't have voted for him. I wouldn't have voted for Biden either because he's a retard. I probably wouldn't have voted at all at that point. I'm not naive. I know he's not going to come out on his platform and say I'm the war guy, but I can speak for myself. As for myself, Dan, Marini, whatever. I didn't vote for continuous war, right? So, that's the path he's bringing us down, right? The way I see it, right?
Can I transition what we just read into the Epstein files?
100%, bro. Totally applicable. I mean, half of maybe not everything that we just read in there happened with Epstein, but probably at least half of it, if not more, which is total debasement and defilement, as the book just said.
Yeah,
Now, either people think
and our government
what we just
is
read
protecting that.
is, yeah, either people think what you and I just read is serious and not funny and to be taken seriously, and they either believe that's the word of God or they don't. It's a big joke and they don't care.
You there?
Yeah, that's where we're at.
Yeah, you beeped
I'd
in and out.
Yeah, I'd say a good portion of our population, if you ask them to read the passage we just read, a good portion, I don't want to say majority, I would hope not the majority, but would be like, yeah,
Yeah,
whatever. Who cares? This is the
I don't
Bible.
think it's my Wi-Fi, dude.
Well, I can see you and I can see
Every time.
myself. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was your Wi-Fi, not mine.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
it's
that's
surprising because you have that super duper highway
Well, exactly. So maybe it's my computer. You know what I mean? I don't know. Hey,
Hey, how you doing? Is it just a
good.
coincidence that we just happened to get zapped?
You never know. You never know. I mean, we might have said some words that we shouldn't have said. That who knows? You don't know what is what's considered a key word or filter word or whatever.
Yep,
You sent me a video, Dave.
because
I looked over
StreamYard,
your stuff.
StreamYard kicked me out. I had to log back in.
You sent me a video a couple days ago about the CNN report with the soldier. You remember that one?
Yeah,
The young soldier. And
yep,
he was
they
saying
shut him
stuff,
down.
yeah, right in the middle of the broadcast. So if they could do it real time live with an entity like CNN, you don't think they could do it on friggin' StreamYard with Dave and Dan?
Well, I just have to say that the world's current events, it's even more of a reason to turn to God.
100%.
Be-
100%.
because because the world has been faced with misery after unjust after unjust for millennium, and this is how people have gotten through it all, is by turning to God for strength and realizing that the objective, if you are a true believer, the objective is to be saved. And so,
Yes.
whether it's Trump who's
100%.
president or Biden or Putin or whoever,
Doesn't matter.
it's it 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 obviously could impact your life, but it's not going to determine that only you can decide whether you're going to be saved or not Trump.
Precisely. Whoever's in power at the moment in the government and all that, then none of that truly matters at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
we all have something in common, regardless of where what our stature is on this in this world. We all have something in common. We're going to die, and we're not taking any of it with us. The pharaohs of Egypt and stuff like that, they tried that. You know, the what you call it, the ruling guys in China, you know, that would bury, you know, a battalion of soldiers with them. They tried it in riches and gold. You know, you can't take it with you guys. Jeff Bezos is going to go out just like you and me, buck ass naked, stuck in a coffin. Granted, all right, so his coffin's going to be a little more fancy and fancy headstone, and everybody will praise him, say he was the balls. But he's going out the same way as the average bear or the homeless guy in the street, and everybody in
Yeah.
between.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, famous people
And
die every day.
we're
Powerful and
all
rich
going
people die every day.
right on, and we're all going to account for our life when we die, when that day comes. All of us, the believers and the non-believers. And like Thomas Jefferson said, or was it Ben Franklin, one of the founding fathers said, hey, again, I'm paraphrasing, what do you got to lose by believing? But you got a hell of a lot to lose by not believing and being wrong, right? I mean, worst case, you believe, you die, and you're wrong, and there's nothing. Okay, well, you didn't lose anything, so to speak. But what if you didn't believe and you thought it was a big joke and but you were wrong?
Yeah.
Now you've lost your soul for eternity. That's a big loss. Did you
Yeah,
never come back
it's a
from?
bad trade.
Yeah,
Bad trade.
terrible trade. To put it
Well,
in trading
I had
terms.
a very good well, I had a very good conversation with Father Roberto here again. He's such a great priest, and I he told me something because I asked him. I said, "Hey, Father," I said, "when you go to confession and you confess a sin, but it's still bothering you afterwards," I said, "What do you do with that?" And he looked at me and he goes, "I want you to say three things and remember three things. Okay, number one, uh, I I did it. I did whatever I did, and I'm sorry for that. Number two, Jesus forgave me, and number three, I'm not the same person as a result of that. I'm not the same person." And those three things, he said, should give you the comfort and the confidence to basically accept that and move on instead of letting that
Always.
dwell in you,
Mhm.
because all of us eventually are going to have something we get haunted
Mhm.
by. And that is why Jesus sacrificed himself on that cross, is so that we can choose his forgiveness. We can choose to confess our sins and cleanse our soul. Best analogy, and I don't know if I've said this to you before, best analogy I heard, because a lot of people don't understand how Jesus getting sacrificed, how that helps us.
Was a big
And
deal.
well, I'll use this analogy and you can criticize it or you can tell me you think it's good. I heard this and I thought it was very well said. There was a king or an emperor, and there were they noticed that things were getting stolen around the palace. Things would start disappearing. So he put out a decree and he put out guards, find out who this is. We got to punish this person. And it kept continuing. And he finally put out a decree that when they caught this person, that they were going to execute this person. So the emperor, the king, made his decree, and you know how prideful they are. They're not going to change their minds. So they ended up catching the criminal. And guess who it was? His daughter. So now
Mm.
he was faced with a dilemma. Do I have to go through with this? Do I have to now kill my daughter? Sorry about that, Dan.
That's
Unbelievable.
okay. That's okay. You're
Uh,
in control.
yep. Mexico Wi-Fi. This is what I'm telling you about. It's like insane. But anyways,
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
that's a great story. So now the dilemma is you got up to the daughter. They found out it was the daughter, and he now it puts him in a big dilemma. Now what?
Well, as a king, as an emperor or whatever he was, if he reversed it because it was his daughter, that would not be looked favorable upon. So he basically had to go through and execute his daughter. So what did he do? Is the day of the execution, he went out to the execution yard and they were going to basically execute her by whipping,
Ooh.
going to whip you to death.
Oh, what
Talk
a
about a terrible way to go. And
painful.
so the king went up to his daughter and he wrapped his arms around his daughter and he turned to the executioner and he said, "Proceed." And I don't know how many lashes it was, a certain amount of lashes, but in essence, it was a death sentence. And the executioner's like,
The executioner was like, "What?
"Dan, you there?
Yeah, I'm here."
Unbelievable. Can you hear me?"
Yeah, I can. You said the executioner was like what
Okay.
when he told him?
So the king was like, "Proceed." He had his daughter enveloped, and the executioner's like, "No, I can't. You're in the way." And the emperor is like, "I gave you a command. Proceed. Count out the lashes."
He he
And he
was the
started
intermediary.
he started
That was
whipping,
Christ. Hmm.
and basically that is the analogy that was used. The emperor in that role, that was how Christ protected us. He died for our sins.
100%. He covered us up like that because
So
we were the
that
ones
is
that deserved it.
and that's a way I think that people can say, "Oh wow, that makes sense now."
Hmm. It's a great
So
point. It's a good analogy.
he gave up his life because he loved his daughter.
That the king ended up dying, obviously. He couldn't withstand it. Yeah.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. What a world. Well,
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, man's a beast. You've said it a million times.
100%. Man without God is a beast. I coined that phrase.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. It's true. Everywhere I go, man, it's like people are like animals.
You take God out of the picture, the worship of him in the basic natural fear of him. We should have a certain amount of fear of him out of respect. And you take him out of the picture, man, and you
Right?
just leave it to
Reverence. Yeah.
man. You are in a world of
Well,
hurt.
that chapter
World
we
of
just
hurt.
read on Leviticus, that chapter
Yeah,
on Leviticus, I mean, that was basically that's how animals live, right? They
100%.
basically have, those are animals.
That's yeah, no ethics, no morals whatsoever. You just banging everything that moves, and
Yeah, I'm tapping
that's
it. I don't
that
care.
that's not how God intended us or us to live, not like animals, right? That's why he gave us minds and he gave us discernment and the ability to think and the ability to discern right from wrong. That's why he equipped us with these tools. And it just seems like, on average, a lot of people choose not to use those tools that have been basically bestowed upon us. We were created in his image, but as a whole we do a terrible job, right? I always go back to the book of Genesis. I think it's chapter 6 and verses 6 through 9, maybe 6 through 13, 6 through 9, somewhere around there, where uh, in that passage, God regretted the day uh, he created man. He's like, I created you guys out of love and created you in my image, and you just totally disappoint me. It's, I
Yeah,
mean, what does that
hence
say
the
when the creator regretted the day he created man? What the hell does that say about us?
well, it goes to Noah's Ark is where it went to, right?
Yeah. And that the covenant, and that's how the rainbow, Genesis talks about that too. God made the covenant with man after the great flood, that he would never wipe man out like that again. You know.
Like that, maybe another way, as told in the Book of Revelation. Oh, here we go.
So there you go. You want me to read 19? Yeah.
Yeah, can you see it?
Various laws. Yeah, I see it. Various laws, the Lord said to Moses, speak to the entire assembly of Israel and say to them, be holy because I, the Lord your God, am holy. Each of you must respect your mother and father, and you must observe my Sabbaths. I am the Lord your God. Do not turn to idols or make metal gods for yourselves. I am the Lord your God. He's talking about idolatry here, right? In other words,
Mhm.
he's the real deal. Don't worship anything else. When you sacrifice a fellowship offering to the Lord, sacrifice it in such a way that it'll be accepted on your behalf. It shall be eaten on the day you sacrifice it or on the next day. Anything left over until the third day must be burned up. If any of it is eaten on the third day, it is impure and will not be accepted. Whoever eats it will be held responsible because they have desecrated what is holy to the Lord. They must be cut off from their people. Pretty clear. When you reap the harvest of your land, do not reap to the very edges of your field or gather the gleanings of your harvest. Do not go over your vineyard a second time or pick up the grapes that have fallen. Leave them for the poor and the foreigner. I am the Lord your God. Do not steal. Do not lie. Do not deceive one another. Do not swear falsely by name and so profane the name of your God. I am the Lord. Do not defraud or rob your neighbor. Do not hold back wages of hired worker overnight. Boy, that sounds familiar in corporate America. Do not curse the deaf or put a stumbling block in front of the blind, but fear God. I am the Lord. Do not pervert justice. Sound familiar, guys? Do not show partiality to the poor or favoritism to the great, but judge your neighbor fairly. Do not go about spreading slander among your people. I think there's a lot of slander going on today, don't you? Do not do anything that endangers your neighbor's life. I am the Lord. Do not hate a fellow Israelite in your heart. Rebuke your neighbor frankly so you will not share in their guilt. Do not seek revenge or bear a grudge against anyone among your people, but love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord. Keep my decrees. Do not mate different kinds of animals. We're doing that in the lab, right? Basically, at a cellular level. Do not plant your field with two kinds of seed. Anybody ever hear of GMO? Do not wear clothing woven of two kinds of material. No, we've more than broken that rule. If a man sleeps with a female slave who is promised to another man, but who has not been ransomed or given her freedom, there must be due punishment. Yet they are not to be put to death because she had not been freed. The man, however, must bring a ram to the entrance to the tent of meeting for guilt offering to the Lord. With the ram of the guilt offering, the priest is to make atonement for him before the Lord for the sin he has committed, and his sin will be forgiven. So I guess the ram pays for the man's sin, right? Sound familiar? When you enter the land and plant any kind of fruit tree, regard its fruit as forbidden. For 3 years you are to consider it forbidden. It must not be eaten. In the fourth year, all its fruit will be holy, an offering to praise to the Lord. But in the fifth year, you may eat its fruit. In this way, your harvest will be increased. I am the Lord your God. Do not eat any meat with the blood still in it. Do not practice divination or seek omens. Do not cut the hair at the sides of your head or clip off the edges of your beard. Do not cut your bodies for the dead or put tattoo marks on yourselves. I am the Lord. See, he's talking even about tattoos. That's considered a form of debasement. Do not degrade your daughter by making her a prostitute, or the land will turn to prostitution and be filled with wickedness. Observe my Sabbaths and have reverence for my sanctuary. I am the Lord. Do not turn to mediums like Ouija boards or seek out spiritualists, for you will be defiled by them. I am the Lord your God. Stand up in the presence of the aged. Show respect for the elderly. I think we stopped doing that a while ago. And revere your God. I am the Lord. When a foreigner resides among you in your land, do not mistreat them. The foreigner residing among you must be treated as your native born. Love them as yourself, for you were foreigners in Egypt. I am the Lord your God. Do not use dishonest standards when measuring length, width, or quantity. Sound familiar? Use honest scales and honest weights, an honest epith, and an honest hin. I am the Lord who brought you out of Egypt. Keep all my decrees and all my laws and follow them. I am the Lord. Pretty straightforward to me. Would you agree? The language is simple,
Well,
straightforward.
yeah, it's obviously we talked about this last time. We're not going to be executing a ram on the at the opening of the tent. So I guess
Every
we go
church
to
service
confession.
across America every Sunday would be killing a lot of livestock. We'd be swimming in blood.
Yeah, it's going to be hard. I mean, obviously, the first chapter we read tonight, I think is most people would agree with. Well, I don't know. It talked about homosexuality, so I don't know what percentage of people in the United States. I can tell you when there were a lot of people who I know who were gay who were flipping out when Trump got elected. They're like, "We're going to get our gay marriage repealed." They honestly believed Trump was going to come after them. And I told them, I said, I don't even think you're going to be on his radar.
No.
But they're scared.
Yeah. Nah, he's not. They're not even on the radar or the gaydar. Not even
And
close.
I'm not sure. I mean, well, let me ask you let me ask you a question. Is do you think that there should be a separation between church and state? Do you think that that a country should be religious in its nature, or a government?
Who are you asking?
You
Me? Yeah. So I do, and I'll tell you why.
you do
Because
what?
I can only speak for the U.S. We were founded and predicated on these principles. 1/3 of the founding fathers were men of faith, strong men of faith, to the point where they were like pastors and stuff. So modern day Americans don't like to admit this because most of them have their head so far up their rear end they don't
You
even
didn't
know basic
clarify
history.
what your position was. You do
They
what?
they don't even know basic history in the basic underpinnings of the tenets of this nation, right? I mean, the Constitution, all through it, I mean, refers to a higher being and a higher creator. We are a Judeo Christian based nation, folks. Those are our roots. Now, you may not want to hear that. You may not agree with it. You may not like it, but too freaking bad. That's the truth. Even though we have powers that be that have a big eraser trying to erase everything. Okay. Because That's what man does. That's what governments do, actually. They turn evil. The first thing they do is they erase God totally from the forefront, and they burn all the books and the Bibles, particularly in particular, and basically driving the message home that they're the new God. They're the new savior that you need to look up to and depend on. Well, we already said a couple of minutes ago, good luck with that. When all you have in the picture is just man and nothing else, good luck with that, because man is a friggin' beast. And if this
Well,
country
well,
thinks
well, look at our country today. Our country is so diverse. I mean,
it's a
is our
problem,
country? Well, we're not going to agree on anything today.
100%. Yeah, we've been sold the bill of goods that, and I'm not against different cultures and different foods and ethnicities and music and stuff. That's all cool. But to Dave's point, and I agree, yeah, this country is a nation of, it's a double-edged sword. We're a nation of immigrants. We are. But I think, like, when Dave's relatives came and my relatives came, we were far more homogenous. We were basically, the bulk of the US then was of European descent, European, Christian, white, Anglo, whatever, for right or wrong, but that was the bulk of it, right? So you could come to a common ground
And
a
they're
lot
also
quicker.
poor as
And
dirt.
he, right, right, yeah, your relatives, the Irish, yeah, they give the potato famine. My relatives from Italy, it came from bad times, particularly during Mussolini times and stuff. They don't want to deal with that crap. They're like, we're out of here. So, etc. The Germans, the Scottish, the Irish, whatever. We all had something in common, though. European values and descent and the belief, the Christian beliefs and value systems. That's all gone now. It's been, I won't say totally eradicated or erased, but it's been greatly, as I think most would agree, greatly watered down to the point where it's like you're drinking a glass of orange juice, but I've watered it down. I get 6 ounces of orange juice in there, but I dumped a gallon of water in it. It's so watered down, is it even orange juice anymore? And I think that's where we're at in this nation, to Dave's point. We are overly diverse.
Well,
There are
my
so
point
many
is,
cultures
my
now.
point is 200 years ago, even 100 years ago,
Right,
people came to the United States, and it was not an easy life. It was a difficult
right.
life. Today, people are coming to the United States because it is an easy life. Big
Absolutely.
difference. Big difference.
That's a great point. That's an excellent point. And plus, our relatives back in the day, they at least wanted to assimilate as best as they could on average, wanted to learn the language, assimilate and stuff. You got
Well,
cultures coming here now.
they
They have
wanted,
no
yeah,
intent to assimilate at all. They don't even want to
well,
learn the language.
yeah, I'm not
They don't
sure
even
they
want to
did
learn the
back then
language.
either. I think their attitude was let their kids learn it, but I'm not sure they had an interest in it. The Italians, the
Yeah, I mean,
Irish.
no, you're right. I mean, you had Chinatown and Little Italy and all that. There's truth to that. And the Greeks were known for sticking together, and the Irish too, in Boston and stuff. I mean, there's truth to that too, no doubt about it. But we were far more on average, if you will, in my view, homogenous. We are so overly heterogeneous now, or diluted, or watered down, or
No,
overly
the
diversified.
difference was the difference back then was the government wasn't in everybody's lives back then.
Well, that too. Yeah, the government was far smaller.
The government is
Yeah.
truly the explanation for the downfall of our country today.
Yeah, because yeah, particularly the federal government, its overreach is way like its overreach is beyond reproach. Way too much overreach, and it just is. And Americans, we have the last two generations of Americans, or maybe three, or since Lyndon Johnson, the Great Society, the last two or three generations, um, you've got entire generation now that have grew up on welfare. That's all they ever known their whole life. Like welfare was put in place to help people and help you, pull yourself up by the proverbial bootstraps. It wasn't to be on the rest of your life, living in Section 8 government housing forever. getting a free cell phone forever and a flat screen and never having to go to work, even though you're an able-bodied man, right? It wasn't to hang out all day watching Netflix off the government dole and hang out and hit your EBT cards all the time. Get a pack of Lucky Stripes with it.
No, I mentioned it before at the beginning. I don't
Or
know if we were
curtain,
I
sorry.
don't know if we're I don't know if we were live or not, but the the you know how, how is our government going to
Yeah,
pay for all of this?
yeah. It was created
Even
to
it,
buy votes, Tom
even
said. Yeah, I mean, there's truth to that, I think.
well, yeah, LBJ with the Great Society. I mean, he really started. He really started. He
And
really
the Democrats is, yeah,
destroyed the
and they're
black
still,
community.
yeah. But the Democrats are still up to these tactics. And I'm not saying the Republicans are any better, but they're still up to these tactics. That's why they don't want borders. The Democrats, as far as I'm concerned, don't want borders, language, or culture. When you take away the border of a country, the language of a country, and the basic culture of a country, what do you got? I argue nothing. You got nothing. So they don't want borders. So any schmuck can walk in anytime they want for any reason. We don't vet them. We don't even know who's walking through the border, but we know why, right? They don't care if somebody's a citizen, just make them vote so we can win the election.
Yeah,
If
these
that's
are
not, if that's not gutting America, I don't know what is.
well. They when you become a wealthy country, you think you have unlimited money.
Of course.
Whereas, think about it: if you were a poor person, where every nickel and dime you made had to be accounted for, you wouldn't be so quick to give it away.
Yeah, well, here's what you're drawing on, Dave. We've had it so good for a while now that what's that saying? Tough times breed strong men and good times breed weak men or something to that
Yeah,
effect.
yeah, right. It's a
Yeah,
cycle.
that's where we're at. We've had it good for so long that the last generation or two, and we're probably part of it. It probably started with Gen X, our generation, but it's definitely um, apparent in, and I'm not pointing fingers, but just rough terms, millennials and Gen Zs. I mean, we've had it so good as a whole for so long that we're not even breeding men anymore, and that's by design too. I don't need to go into that. I mean, if you want to control the populace, you've got to kill the testosterone. You have to, and they started doing that with the food supply and stuff, right? Testosterone levels are nowhere near what they were probably with us and or our fathers, not even close. Hand strength, we've talked about this before. Used to be 115 pounds, the basic man's hand strength. And a woman up in the early 90s was like 92 pounds of pressure upon. Now, the average man's handshake is something like 98 pounds, and the average woman's is like 96 pounds. What does that tell you? Right? They've weakened the man, right? And strengthened the woman, brought us more, uniform or homogenous, right? But basic stuff. You take testosterone out of the picture, well, now you can just control the populace. You got a bunch of weak willies hanging around, wet noodles.
Well, a lot of that is probably diet.
Yeah. Well, you attack it. Yeah, you attack the diet. I mean, how many people work out or think about their health or take responsibility for their health? I'm not trying to be critical and judge people, but we've got a society now. Well, the government's got to take care of me, and the doctor's got to give me 16 prescriptions so that I can pop pills all the time to fix everything. You know,
Yeah,
it
well,
just goes on and on and on. We're just needy, and you wonder why the government's top heavy. It's an inverted pyramid, right? I argue. It's a totally inverted pyramid. So
well,
top.
if there was no government to assist you, what would your options be, Dan?
Your options would be, for example, to be more mindful, to have the attitude that I have to stand on my own feet if I'm going to survive for myself and my family. Maybe I don't stay out as late at night. Maybe I don't drink as much alcohol, smoke as much cigarettes. Maybe I eat better food. Maybe I go for a walk occasionally. Maybe I lift light weights or something, whatever. You'd be more responsible. Maybe I don't eat 2 bags of Doritos with a gallon of Coke.
Well, let's let's end it here because we're getting in. We could do a
Yeah,
circle
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, we could
because
go off the reservation, and we already are a little bit, but suffice to say, I think we made our point with the 2 chapters we read with Leviticus tonight. Somebody could argue, why are you reading the Old Testament? Why are you reading Leviticus? Why did you read chapter 18 and 19? Well, because a lot of what we just read is applicable, we argue, through today. It's happening. We're seeing it before our eyes. We don't seem to learn from history and or the word, I guess.
well, I guess what I was thinking about when you mentioned the Constitution, it's the same thing with the Bible. Is how many people actually have read the Constitution and how many people have read the Bible. So it's kind of like the conversations with your mother where your mother's like, "Oh, I already know that." And you're like, "Well, did you read it?" "No, but I already know." "Well, how do you know if you haven't even read it?"
And how can you even have pose any kind of an intelligible argument to counter it if you've never even read it? It's like, well, I know that. Well, how do you know that? You've never taken 5 minutes to even crack the cover. What are you talking about?
Well, think about it. Think about where we spend our time and energy, and think about the fact that our schools don't even
Excellent point.
don't even teach any of this. I mean, don't you think the Constitution should be taught in school?
The Constitution in American history and the world according to Dan, and it sounds like you're saying it too, Dave, should be required reading. 100%. When else in your life are you going to read
Well,
it if you don't
American
read it in
history
American history?
is somebody's interpretation, but the Constitution is black and white.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah, provided it hasn't been altered, manipulated, whatever. You're right. Yeah, it is what it is. You're right.
And you can have discussions in classes, but at least you're exposing your citizens because what do they call the Constitution, Dan? What do they call it?
What does who call the Constitution? I'm sorry, I don't understand.
The Constitution is the law of the land.
Right.
That is the ultimate law. Courts and governments are, and is it any surprise that our courts and our governments violate the Constitution all the time and nobody knows the difference?
It's a great point. Yeah. Well, we're kept ignorant on purpose, so that, to your point, when it is violated, most of the populace doesn't even have a clue. Doesn't even have a clue. They have no idea.
So anything. This is why I've been asking you for 10 years. What's the point of high school today, man? I mean, it's not helping kids. It's not
It's
helping our
not.
country. It's not helping our
It's not.
country.
It
You
doesn't
know,
prepare them at all. I've had these discussions ad nauseum, not only, with Gabby and my own kids, and uh, but especially Gabby. I mean, she's even said, she's like, high school, I can't stand it. She's like, most of it is just a waste of time. They
it's
don't
going
teach you
through the
anything.
motions. It's
Yeah,
going through the
and
motions. I
you
mean,
know what? A
you
lot
have
of
to go
kids,
through if you want a degree.
what a lot of kids get out of high school is bad habits. They mix with other kids, and they just learn bad habits. Drugs, alcohol, pornography, everything. That's all.
That is the
Yeah.
number one objection that I have when I talk to people about getting rid of schools is the number one objection, especially single households. Because
Oh yeah.
let's face it, I don't know if it's most, but a lot of our households are single families, are single parent now.
1/3 to
And
one half, probably. Yeah.
yeah, well, 70% of kids, I think, 50 or 70% of kids now are born in one child home. I mean, one parent home. There's no
Out of
father at the
wedlock.
house. Out of
50%,
wedlock.
the last I knew, are born out of wedlock. And I would
So,
guess easily 30, one third to 50% of the households are single parent.
yep.
Easily.
So, yep. So they have to work. So the only point of school today is to be kinder care. That's it.
It's a baby, it's a glorified babysitter. Yeah. Um, if you look at a lot of teachers, somebody was telling me the other day, um, actually, my boss was telling us in a meeting, she had to drop her 13-year-old nephew off at school. And some of the teachers were out front in the morning, doing the whatever they do in the morning when the parents drive in and stuff. And she's like, you wouldn't believe how the teachers now dress and stuff, totally inappropriate. Like they dress like they're wearing spandex
Oh,
and, you know, revealing skirts and stuff, their ass hanging out. It's like, what are you doing? You're a friggin' middle school teacher. And a lot of the high school teachers are knuckleheads too, from what I hear now. Like they're just inappropriate. These are the people that are supposedly teaching our children. It, so even if the kid comes from a decent home with two parents, by the time they get indoctrinated 6 hours a day with all this shit, you wonder why things are the way they are. We
yep.
don't
And
have
if you take away
any
money as your
standards.
primary, if you take away money as your primary motivation in life, then and you have children and you don't put your children over your income, well, then you know maybe you choose having somebody stay home and homeschooling, or getting together with a group of parents and homeschooling and rotating the responsibilities, right?
Yeah. Or at the
Whereas,
very least, yeah.
if you
No, or at the mhm.
if you had five families homeschooling five kids, you could one day be with Dan, one day be with Dave, one day be with Joe.
100%. It
So
could
there's a
be
way
done.
to do it. There's a way to do it.
It could be. But worst case scenario, the kids still go to school, traditional school. At least if there's a parent home like a mother or something, then they have a chance for regular engagement with the teachers and stuff. You know what I mean? To push these certain things. But that's not happening anymore. Most parents don't even go to, like back in the
No,
day
I mean,
when I was
well,
a parent.
yeah, they're too tired.
Yeah, in
Too
their
involved.
defense, I'm not judging them. They don't even go to the parent student
Teachers,
the
the
parent teacher
PTA.
meetings, most of them. Yeah, they don't even go. They don't even show up because everybody's too effing busy trying to grind out a living and just make ends meet. They got a full-time. Do you know how many Americans have a full-time job now, Dave, and a part-time job? It's unprecedented. Totally.
All right, Dan,
Yeah. Yeah, let's end it
can
here.
you
It's
hear
been
me?
an hour and a half.
All right, well, yeah, yeah. I mean, we don't need to go on off on this because it's counterproductive for us to even talk about this anymore because it's never going to
100%.
change. It's never going to change.
No, it's not.
And
It's going to continue to
and
degrade.
well, this is why I've said it to you 100 times. This is why we have to only be responsible for our inner circles. We're on the Titanic, man. You get your inner circle to the lifeboat. If you have kids and you're sending them to public school, well, that's on you. Okay. And maybe you're in a town like Lexington, Mass, where supposedly the school system is still good. I don't know. Um, or Hingham, Mass. I mean, Hingham, Mass, where you're from. So, it's, they think their school system's fine and dandy. But all of these things are interconnected. And it comes down to um, where you have to really wonder. I mean, nobody questions anything anymore. Nobody tries to change anything for the better anymore. They just say, this is the way it's always been. So, and that's why it seems like things never are going to improve. I mean, we continually allow governments and institutions to get away with the same things they've been getting away with. But today, we should know better. Today, information's available that wasn't available 50 years ago.
Or even 20. Yeah. 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 I mean, I guess ignorance is no excuse now, you know, it's out there. I mean, everybody and their brother's got a phone. You got 7-year-olds with phones now. And you've got how many platforms with information being passed back and forth, and video creation, voice, video, data, all forms of communication. The information's there. We don't have an excuse.
Well,
Granted, we're overly inundated probably, but to your point, like,
yeah, and our generation, people still got married and still have kids, even because they just thought that's what they were supposed to do. The young people today, I think they're now economically not able to even consider it. So, and in some cases, I'm not even sure they want it, because I think young people today, from what I understand, are questioning all of this.
as they should, because if they can't even buy a house, they can't even afford to have kids. They can barely afford a friggin' car for the feeble job that they go to.
Yeah, well, they
It,
can't compete with the rest of the world.
nope. And wages in this country have been stagnant basically since the 70s.
Yeah.
And so they got to have 16 side hustles or 14 part-time jobs in addition to their full-time job just to make ends meet. So if I were in their shoes, I'd be thinking the same thing. What am I doing? What is this for? I'm going nowhere. I'm not even keeping my head above water. I'm like bobbing in the water. Yay. Accomplishing nothing. I'm not getting ahead by working all these extra hours or saving money or whatever.
Well, that's going to be a very interesting tale of 2026. Is we already know that the middle class and the lower class. Let me strike that. The middle income and the lower income. I hate the saying of class.
Mm.
That those people are already suffering. It's been the higher income and the government spending that's been carrying that's been basically keeping a Band-Aid on things. See, I don't live in the US. You drive around your community. I don't know. I mean, I can tell you when I was in New Hampshire, I mean, has so many, New Hampshire's in the Northeast, and it has so many poor cities, poor people. And so they haven't exactly been doing well. And that's during when times were supposedly booming.
Yeah, most of the U.S. now is a lower mid tier to just low end. I mean, we're if we're not a banana republic yet, we're going to be one. I would argue we're basically a quasi banana republic right now, and we're going to become a full one sooner than you think.
Well, that drive after I visited you and I drove up to the Cape Cod in Mass, I drove. I don't remember all the name of the towns. I remember one was Waycross, Georgia. I mean, it was like destroyed. But all these small towns I was driving through, Dan, they were all out of business, vacant. The buildings were like crumbling, destroyed,
That's
broken
amazing.
windows.
Well, and you sent me something about a week ago. It was a shot in New Jersey. It was a still shot or a video. I don't remember, but they got a lot of snow up there. It was somewhere in New Jersey, okay, and it
Okay.
was in a urban area. And here's where I'm going with this to echo what you're saying. Even our major cities now. Sorry for the language, guys. Even our major cities are shitholes. They are.
Yeah.
Chicago, New York,
They're
Boston,
embarrassments. They're embarrassments.
Atlanta. If you look at the infrastructure alone, you could tell that it had its peak 60 years ago. The bulk of the architecture and the age of the buildings are 50, 75, 100 years old plus. Then now you look at the eastern part of the world, particularly from Dubai and further east, you know, you look at a lot of the latest cities there compared to ours, there's no comparison in technology,
Yeah,
newness,
and these are countries that don't make as much as the United States,
infrastructure.
supposedly.
Yeah, infrastructure. Our infrastructure compared to them should be far superior based on our so-called wealth. Supposedly, we're the greatest nation that's ever been in the most
Yeah, the U.S.
wealthiest
is
nation.
looking more and more like Mexico, man.
100%. I don't even go into our major cities. What do I want to go there for? They're like effing ghettos. They're like ghettos. I mean, are there some nice parts in our major cities? Yeah, but you got to
It's
have
not even
serious.
Dan. It's
You
not
got to
even
have
major
serious
city.
coin to hang out there.
Dan, go to Tampa. Tampa's not a major city.
Tampa's what I would call a. It's considered a tier one city because of the sports, but I would call it a tier two city. It's a
Definitely
tier
not tier
two
one.
city. Okay, I agree with you. I would call Tampa a tier two, like a Columbus, Ohio. Nothing against no, I wouldn't call it a three. No, I don't agree. No, I don't agree. I would call Cleveland maybe or Columbus, Ohio. Nothing against Ohio or Columbus guys. That's like a tier three city. Um, anything basically that doesn't have a major league team in it is going to be tier two or tier three.
There you go. You're
Um,
basing it on sports now, right?
I'm using that analogy 100% because it has to have a certain tax base, Dave, and revenue base to support the pro teams. Yeah, because the tickets are astronomical. So I wouldn't call Tampa tier three. No way. Maybe tier two, definitely. But not a tier three. No, because it has major sports here. If those sports leave because of the tax base, you know what I mean? The wealth leaves and then the teams leave, then I'll give it to you. Tier three, definitely. But no, it's got major league teams. Is it on the same par as a Boston or a New York? No, no. But yeah. I mean, just in a nutshell, again, whatever even our tier one cities, San Francisco, LA, whatever. I mean, they're dumps. The infrastructure is garbage. Um,
Well, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to do anything because, back when Amtrak was trying to add a high-speed train to the United States,
what a joke.
they couldn't. Well, they couldn't get the land because
Yeah,
for a high-speed train, you have to have very obviously you have to redo all the
long and
rails,
straight.
and it
Yeah, long and
and it
straight.
has to be straight,
Yeah,
and they couldn't
yeah,
get the land.
if you're doing 230 miles per hour, you don't want to take a lot of turns, right? Hmm. Yeah,
And so
100%.
that
So
drives home. You go to
yeah,
China. China can be like, okay, we're taking this land. And
yeah.
I suppose the United States can do that with eminent
Well,
domain, but it's going to be a lot harder.
we have eminent domain, but to your point, like for us, like we want to build a highway or something, that's a 20-year plan. The first 10 years is getting the paperwork and the permits passed. That's the first 10 years. And then you got the next 10 years to friggin' build it. China would build that same thing in probably 2 years, So, another example would be look at the warships they build now. We can't even build one warship in a year. They build like something like 20 in a year. What does that tell you? 15, something like that.
Yeah, no, the
We can't
Chinese, from what
we
I've
can't
read
even build
online, if
bridges
it's true or
anymore.
not, well,
Go
look at
ahead.
that bridge in Baltimore. Look at the bridge in
100%.
Baltimore that got knocked
Is this
down by that car. That's not, that was 2 years ago,
It's not fixed, is it? Or patched, it's patched.
and it won't be.
But so
No,
you
it's
know the
not
bridge in
working.
Boston? You know the bridge in Boston where we're from that has those
Yeah,
cool looking
The Bunker
suspension
Hill
things?
Bridge. The Bunker Hill Bridge. Yeah.
Yeah. But you know how it's got the latest technology of those things, the way it's designed? Well, my understanding was There wasn't just American engineers doing that. We had to call in engineers from other countries, particularly from Brazil, that know how to build those types of suspension bridges. We don't have the talent anymore, guys. Oh, you hate America, Dan, you're down. No, I'm not. I don't hate America. I love America. We don't have the talent because we're fat, dumb, and lazy now. Our kids don't want to do mathematics and science and
Well,
hardcore, computing and stuff, right? They want to play X Games, be a YouTube innovator, and you know, I don't know what, right? Well, guess what? Somebody has to have some engineering talent and intellect and brains to build this crap and to design it and to make sure it works. If you're
well,
driving over Tampa
I'm
Bay, you don't
writing a
see
new.
the friggin' bridge collapsing. That's a problem. Go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, there has to be. Yeah. Let's end it here. It. I don't even want to talk about it because it's not going to change. I mean, if you want to talk about something a government could get involved is, I suppose, a government could set an initiative for businesses to. This is a whole nother discussion because
100%
when you
private
look at
sector.
China has 5 year. China does 5 year plans, right? And they have this initiative that was called, back when Hu Jintao was the premier of the leader of China, he had an initiative called Made in 2025. This was over 10 years ago. And they
100%.
said, we want China to be the leader in this in 10 years. And what that did is that then started initiating all these schools to get these students enrolled. It promoted all these businesses to start going after these technologies. And you
Yep.
know what? What's amazing is when China makes a 5 year plan, it's amazing how often they usually hit their targets.
And you hit it. Yep. They're smart. Yeah, but that culture's been around 4 or 5 thousand years. They understand the what's the word? The advantages of looking out ahead, planning, down the road, being long-term oriented. We can't focus for 2 minutes. They understand about family values, being intact, respecting their elders, planning, all that. We don't do any of that. We don't do any of that crap. Is it a
Well,
wonder why the West is crumbling? Like,
but I'm not sure the average citizen would have a say if they disagreed.
probably wouldn't. But yeah, but we're so divided and so diversified. We're so diversified, we're watered down. That's what I argue. We're so friggin' watered down, we can't even get crap done anymore. When you have, 297 cultures competing and can't agree on common ground, what do you think's going to happen? Nothing. Deterioration. That's what's going to happen. Like they're more of a homogenous society. We're not. We're so heterogeneous,
Yes,
it's beyond
yes.
belief. Yeah. And we wonder why we can't get shit done and agree on stuff because we
But
have
but
such a
the
thin
the
tank base.
society
Yeah,
the
go ahead.
society goes along with it because they're seeing the positive momentum, the positive results. Whereas if you drive around, you're not. I mean, what are you seeing positive when you drive around? What are you seeing positive? I mean, like like in the United States, it's like the banksters and these corporations. They go out and they build these homes everywhere, and that's considered progress in the United States. Putting up these homes in these strip malls.
Exactly. Yeah. So you see bastions even around Tampa, bastions of nice neighborhoods with people driving $100,000 Porsches and Beamers and stuff. So there's bastions of it, but they're the minority. To them, life's great, but they're the great minority. The average stiff is making $20 an hour, living in a shithole apartment that they don't want to live in. They're 32 years old and they're never going to be able to buy a house. What's the
Well,
American dream for them? Nothing.
I remember what it was like in my 20s, and when you're first starting out and you're paying rent, you're paying for a car, you're paying for insurance, you're paying for, you're going out on dates or whatever. It it's 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 kind of hard to save money. You know,
Absolutely. When you don't have a lot
I
of
mean,
disposable income.
yeah, you and I lived
Yeah.
with each other in our early 20s because let's face it, I mean, the cost of living alone was too expensive.
Even then, yeah. What we were making, I know what I was making back then. Couldn't rub two nickels together.
No, I mean, to save $1,000 a month back then was almost an impossible task.
Oh yeah. Very difficult.
Yeah. And so, you know, if Dan, if you just look at how our country's changed from when we were 25, it's 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 so different, so different. Um, and we can
100%.
get into that next time. Just, I
Yeah.
mean, we didn't have the internet back then. You couldn't trade like you did back then. I mean, the banks and the big companies. I mean, they've controlled everything for a while, but now it's pretty obvious. And I look at the way people live now, and how much, like even in New Hampshire, how much the rents are for what you get. It's a joke. It's pathetic.
Yeah, it's garbage.
I mean,
Yeah. No,
I
it's
mean,
garbage.
down near you, I mean, that place you were living, they wanted $3,000 a month for, right,
Uh,
3 grand a
they
month.
jacked me. I was at 1,800 a month, 1,900 a month, and they jacked me to 4,000.
And you met some guy from Chicago who's like, "Oh, this is so wonderful."
He's like, I have a bargain at 3,200. And I didn't have, I didn't have it in me to say, well, the same place you're renting, I'm renting for 1,800.
Yeah, and it's the
I'm
same
just looking.
thing. Like people come to Mexico. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, it's the same thing. It's I don't know. It's the same thing. I see it
I'm
down in
just looking
Mexico. They're
at him.
like, "Oh, this
He's
only
like,
costs
oh, this is,
$50."
yeah. He's like, it's only 3,200 a month. This is such a nice place. And it was a nice place. And, oh, yeah, we're so grateful we got it for this. And I'm just like, isn't it a good deal? I'm just looking at, just like, I'm like, no, my place is a good deal. Just like,
Yeah,
but yeah,
yeah, and even
uh,
China. I have friends. I have friends in China who are buying apartments for $500,000 US, and
that's big.
these they're making Chinese income. And I'm saying to them, and in
There's
China,
plenty.
all you get is a concrete cave. It's
Slab,
disgusting.
slab.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So
I
it's
believe
it's
it.
everywhere, man. All right. So
Yeah,
all right. Well, Dan and I are gonna I'm gonna end the live stream here, but Dan, we can
yeah,
stay on and talk about a couple things on the market tomorrow, and uh, and then we'll call it
yeah.
because
Let's
I'm
end the live
starting
stream.
to
Yeah.
starting to lose my
Cool.
voice. Hey, everybody, have a great day. And the main goal was to read those sections of Leviticus. Dan was really wanted to get those on file. And I know a lot of these Old Testament books, you know, you have to try to interpret that to modern times. And it just drives home that we just have to live. We can't live like animals. And we have to live in a way that creates a good culture, good society, that we help each other rather than we hurt each other. We're not looking to take each other down. And I mean, I think we're all so busy on a treadmill today. I'm not sure that most communities exist anymore. In very small ways, maybe. Okay. All right, Dan, hold the line. Peace, everybody.
Yeah.